Namaskar. Today it's May 13th, 2026. Welcome to day 61 of Satvik Yogi Path. Each year on March 14 begins my 100-day journey in returning to the essence of yoga towards the celebration of International Day of Yoga on June 21st. This year I chose to revisit Maharishi Patanjali's Yoga Sūtra and share my daily practices inspired by it. Once again, I welcome you to day 61. Over the last 5 days, we explored the five kleśas, mind's afflictions, the root cause of sufferings. Avidyā, asmitā, rāga, dveṣa, abhiniveśa. Today, Maharishi Patanjali tells us that the kleśas, the subtle kleśas, weakens. In Yoga Sūtra 2.10, or the 10th Yoga Sūtra from the second chapter, Samadhipad. The Yoga Sūtra 2.10 is te prati prasavheyah sukshma. Once again, let's recite it together slowly. Te prati prasavheyah sukshma. The subtle klesh or the afflictions of the mind are weakened by tracing them back to their origin. So we learned about the five afflictions of the mind: avidyā, ignorance; asmitā, ego, identity; misinterpretation, misidentification, misconception; rāga, attachment; dveṣa, aversion; and abhiniveśa, fear of loss. But in this sutra, Yoga Sūtra 2.10, which is the 10th Yoga Sūtra from Sadhana Pad, here Maharishi Patanjali tells us that these klesh, these afflictions of the mind, can be weakened when we trace back to their origin. So let us break the Yoga Sūtra one by one. But before even I do that, I would love to give a shout out to Nikhil out 8015. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Alexa 16366. Oh, Alexa. Alexa, I always feel this way when someone is so kind, and especially it requires a huge lot of courage to be so kind, and I always feel this way, that you see your reflection. So if you call someone, if you write in the comment that someone you're watching is pretty, which means you are pretty too. And let me tell you that I have learned this from my mom. My mom always used to say that when someone is kind to you, it only and says that the world is kind, or the person right in front of them is kind, it only shows, it only means that the person themselves they have a kind heart. And thank you, Alexa. Thank you so much. So Yoga Sutra 2.10 says that the subtle klesh, the mind's afflictions, are weakened by tracing them back to their origin. So today, Maharshi Patanjali in Yoga Sūtra 2.10, that is today, our day 61, begins the next phase. And what is that next phase? How do these patterns weaken? How do these subtle patterns weaken? The subtle form of the kleśas, the quiet ones, the background ones. Kleśas is the mind's affliction. The ones that live beneath the surface are weakened by not force, not by suppression, but by tracing them back to their origin. And this is called tracing them back to their origin. When the kleśas are weakened, this is called prati prasav. Prati prasav, that's the Sanskrit word of a gentle returning to the source. A gentle returning to the source or tracing back to their origin. Now, if you've missed reciting the Sutra, Yoga Sūtra by Maharshi Patanjali, it is te prati prasavheyaha sukshma. Now let us understand word by word. Once we break it down to word by word, te is these, the kleśas. These. Te is, te means, te is the Sanskrit word for these. So what are these? The kleśas. Over the last 5 days, we learned about the 5 mind's afflictions. So te means these afflictions, these obstacles of the mind, these kleśas. Sukshma. Sukshma means subtle, refined, quiet. Sukshma. Sukshma is the Sanskrit word. Sanskrit is the a very old, ancient language from India, which yoga is based on. So, Yoga Sūtra, and it is in Sanskrit. It is in Sanskrit language. So, Sukshma means subtle, quiet, refined. And Prati Prasav Heya, Prati Prasav Heya, which means weakened by tracing back to their origin. Subtle kleśas. So now the whole Yoga Sutra is te prati prasavaheyah sukshma, which means subtle kleśas, these kleśas dissolve when we follow them back to where they come from. When we follow them, these kleśas, back to their source, back to where they come from. Maharishi Patanjali is teaching a profound truth. What we understand softens. What we see clearly dissolves. What we trace back to its roots loses its grip. The subtle kleśa, the subtle affliction of the mind, are not loud. They're not dramatic. They're not obvious. They are subtle. They appear as a quiet preference, a subtle discomfort, a small expectation, a tiny fear, a gentle cling. Yoga says don't fight them, the obstacles, these kleśas. Don't fight them, don't suppress them, don't judge them. Trace them back. See where they come from. Follow the thread to the root. When the root is seen, the pattern weakens. Now, I have a beautiful analogy today to explain the sutra today, and it is the river and the spring. A river looks powerful, but if you walk upstream, have you ever? I may have. But if you walk upstream, not may have, I've actually done it. You find a small spring. The river looks powerful. But when you walk upstream, you find a small spring. Maharishi Patanjali says the kleśas, the afflictions of the mind are like rivers, which looks powerful. But as you walk upstream, you find the spring, the river loses its force. Because that's the source of the river. So when you trace back to the river's origin, that is to the spring, you find the spring and the river loses force. Subtle kleśas dissolve through understanding, not through effort, through understanding. And this is the beginning of inner freedom. A gentle truth that when I see the root, the pattern softens. So, what are we practicing today? We notice one subtle pattern, and we follow it back gently, just like how we would walk upstream to find the spring, the source of the river. And then we ask, where is this coming from? The affliction. Where is this coming from? And then let the breath soften the root. And then gentle repetition of Om. And we then contemplate on clarity. Bhavna. So let us begin our stillness practice, starting with sit and settle. So sit if you're seated, just like me, on chair or on your mat. Back and spine straight. Roll your shoulder if you have to. And chin slightly tucked in. And now looking at a point at the eye level right in front of you. And most importantly, with your smile. Your smile must be on. And I'm telling you, look at yourself through the mirror. If you have a mirror right in front of you, and you would see when you smile, just smile without effort. And just take a look at yourself, how beautiful you look without the effort. So now let your breath settle. Let your breath fall into the navel. Place one hand gently over your navel and then just breathe. Just observe your breath. And we do it 3 times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. breathe out. And now stay like that. Now with your awareness, you breathe in and breathe out. And your awareness is that how you are there with your back and spine straight, and as you breathe in, your navel, your belly rises, and as you breathe out, it distends. So that awareness, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and the last breathe in, breathe out. And you may open your eyes. And now you would notice one subtle pattern, which could be a small preference, a tiny discomfort, or a quiet reaction. It could be any. One subtle pattern, a tiny discomfort, or a quiet reaction, or just a small preference. So, when you have noticed one subtle pattern, you follow it back. You would trace it back to its source. And you would just ask gently, what is beneath this? This, my tiny discomfort. What is the source? If it is my a small preference, what is beneath, or what is the source of this preference? Or if it is a quiet reaction, what is beneath this? What is the source of this subtle pattern? And then let your breath soften the root. You breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And now we just with 3 gentle repetition of Om, wherein we inhale, and in our exhalation, which is going to be long, which is going to be soft and steady and slow, with Om, with the rising in your belly, with the O moving through the chest, and the vibration that softens on your lips. So let us practice 3 gentle repetition of Om. Let's do it. Inhale, take a deep breath in. Placing your hand gently on your navel, take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. Stay like that. And now you contemplate bhavana with clarity. You are tracing the affliction back to its origin. It is like walking upstream in a powerful river when you're walking upstream and you find the source that is the spring. And there, the river loses its power because that's the source, that's the root. And that's when it softens, the kleśas weakens, the subtle pattern weakens. And open your eyes. So I have a day 61 challenge. Every day I have challenge for you. And it is notice one subtle reaction today. Just one subtle reaction today. And follow it back to its root. Day 61 teaches us that subtle patterns dissolve not through force but through understanding. So when we trace them back to their origin, they lose grip. Remember the analogy? You're walking upstream of a forceful, powerful river. But as you walk upstream, you see the source of it, the spring, where the force, the power of the river dissolves. Thank you for practicing with me today and showing up every day. Your steadiness is the real journey. As I said, this is a 100-day journey each year on March 14 that I take towards returning to the essence of yoga and seeing every day, practicing, sharing my practices with you and seeing you. It motivates me. It does some magic to me that I impatiently wait for the daily practices that I love to share with you all. And thank you. Thank you for your lovely comments. Thank you for your presence. We meet again tomorrow. Until then, stay warm, stay open, and most importantly, stay honest to your own story. Thank you.